Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. This is a place for those who love spine-chilling stories, eerie locations, and the thrill of the unknown. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal enthusiast or just someone curious about what lies beyond the veil, I've got something special in store for you today. We're diving deep into the heart of one of America's most overlooked yet deeply haunted states, Kansas. While many people associate Kansas with wide-open plains and the familiar tale of the Wizard of Oz, few realize that beneath its quiet surface lurks a history steeped in tragedy, mystery, and unexplained phenomena. From ghostly apparitions wandering through abandoned asylums to spectral figures seen drifting through historic homes, Kansas is home to some of the most terrifying places in the country. These are not just urban legends or exaggerated campfire tales. These are real locations where visitors have reported inexplicable encounters, chilling sensations, and even brushes with the supernatural. Today, we'll be exploring the most haunted places in Kansas, uncovering the dark histories behind these infamous sites and hearing first-hand accounts from those who have dared to enter. Some of these locations have drawn the attention of paranormal investigators, while others remain shrouded in local folklore passed down through generations. Whether you believe in ghosts or simply enjoy a good scare, this journey will take you through the eerie corridors of history, where the past refuses to be forgotten. So, if you're ready to face the unknown, grab your flashlight, settle in, and let's begin our journey into the depths of Kansas's most haunted places. The haunting of the Eldridge Hotel. Spirits of the past still roam the halls tucked away in the heart of Lawrence, Kansas, stands one of the state's most historically significant and allegedly haunted buildings, the Eldridge Hotel. Originally constructed in 1855, this grand hotel has witnessed over a century and a half of American history, including the brutal conflicts of Bleeding Kansas, the Civil War, and the rise of the Old West. However, beyond its role as a hub for travelers and politicians, the Eldridge Hotel has gained a reputation for being one of the most haunted locations in the state, with countless reports of ghostly encounters and unexplained phenomena. The origins of the hotel's haunting can be traced back to its earliest days during the violent period known as Bleeding Kansas, when pro- and anti-slavery settlers clashed in a bitter struggle over the future of the territory. In 1863, the hotel was destroyed during Quantrill's raid, a brutal Confederate guerrilla attack on Lawrence that left nearly 200 men and boys dead. Though the building was later rebuilt in 1868, many believe that the violence and suffering endured within its walls left an indelible mark on the property, trapping the spirits of those who perished there. Over the years, guests and staff alike have reported a variety of eerie occurrences throughout the hotel. One of the most frequently cited apparitions is that of a woman in a Victorian-era dress, often seen wandering the upper floors before vanishing without a trace. Some speculate that she may be the spirit of Mary Swope, a former owner of the hotel who died in the early 1900s under mysterious circumstances. Others believe she could be a guest who met an untimely end during one of the hotel's more tumultuous periods. Witnesses describe her presence as both melancholic and unsettling, with some claiming she watches them silently from the shadows before disappearing. In addition to the lady in white, guests have reported hearing disembodied voices echoing through the halls late at night, despite knowing they are alone in the building. Some have described feeling an inexplicable chill in certain rooms, particularly near the stairwell, while others claim to have seen doors opening and closing on their own. One of the most disturbing accounts comes from a housekeeper who claimed she heard a child laughing in an empty hallway. When she turned to investigate, she found no one there, only the faint outline of a small figure standing at the far end of the corridor before fading into nothingness. While skeptics attribute these experiences to environmental factors such as drafts and aging infrastructure, the sheer number of consistent reports from credible sources makes it difficult to dismiss the idea that something otherworldly lingers within the hotel's walls. Whether these spirits are tied to the historical trauma of the past or are merely echoes imprinted onto the very fabric of the building remains a subject of debate. What is certain, however, is that the Eldridge Hotel continues to captivate those who visit, offering a glimpse into a world where history and the supernatural intertwine in ways that defy explanation. Echoes of tragedy. The ghosts of the Quindaro ruins nestled along the banks of the Missouri River in present-day Kansas City, Kansas, lie the remnants of Quindaro, a once thriving abolitionist settlement established in the 1850s. Founded by free African Americans and sympathetic white allies, Quindaro served as a crucial stop on the Underground Railroad, offering refuge to enslaved individuals seeking freedom in the North. Despite its noble purpose, the town's history is marred by violence, betrayal, and tragedy, events that many believe have left behind lingering spirits trapped between worlds. During the turbulent years of Bleeding Kansas, Quindaro became a battleground in the ideological war over slavery. Pro-slavery forces targeted the settlement, launching raids aimed at destroying its operations and capturing those who sought sanctuary within its borders. Many residents were killed or forced to flee, and by the end of the Civil War, Quindaro had been largely abandoned, its buildings crumbling into ruins. Today, only scattered foundations and overgrown pathways remain, but locals claim that the echoes of the past still haunt the site, manifesting in strange and unsettling ways. Visitors to the Quindaro ruins report experiencing sudden drops in temperature, unexplained whispers carried by the wind, and fleeting glimpses of shadowy figures moving among the trees. Some claim to hear the distant sounds of horses galloping and frantic footsteps, as if reliving the desperate escape attempts of those who sought refuge there. Others describe seeing the faint outlines of individuals dressed in 19th-century clothing, their expressions frozen in fear or sorrow. One particularly chilling account comes from a group of historians who were documenting the site when they captured footage of what appeared to be a young girl standing near the riverbank. As they approached, she vanished into thin air, leaving behind only ripples in the water. Paranormal investigators have explored the area extensively, using EMF detectors, infrared cameras, and audio recording equipment to document any unusual activity. Their findings include instances of fluctuating energy fields, distorted voices on EVP recordings, and fleeting images caught on camera that cannot be easily explained. Some researchers believe that the spirits of runaway slaves and abolitionists still linger in the area, unable to move on due to the trauma of their final moments. Others suggest that the land itself holds residual energy, replaying fragments of history like a phantom recording imprinted onto the earth. Whether the hauntings of Quindaro stem from historical trauma or something more inexplicable, one thing remains undeniable: the site exudes an aura of unease that leaves even the most skeptical visitors feeling unsettled. For those who walk among the ruins, the past is never truly gone, and the cries of those who suffered there continue to echo through time. The phantom residents of the Constitution Hall, located in the heart of Lecompton, Kansas, Constitution Hall stands as a solemn reminder of the state's turbulent past. Built in 1855, this modest two-story limestone building played a pivotal role in the contentious debates over slavery that shaped the nation's history. It was here that the infamous Lecompton Constitution was drafted, a controversial document that sought to establish Kansas as a slave state, igniting fierce opposition from abolitionists, and ultimately contributing to the outbreak of the Civil War. Beyond its historical significance, Constitution Hall has also become a hotspot for paranormal activity, drawing the attention of ghost hunters, historians, and the curious alike. According to local legend, the hall is haunted by the restless spirits of those who fought for or against the expansion of slavery. Visitors and tour guides alike have reported strange occurrences within its walls: cold spots that appear without warning, disembodied voices whispering unintelligible words, and the sensation of being watched by unseen eyes. Some claim that the building retains the emotional weight of the heated arguments and political maneuvering that took place within its confines, imprinting the energy of the past onto the very foundation of the structure. One of the most frequently encountered apparitions is that of a man dressed in 19th-century attire, believed to be John Calhoun, the territorial governor who presided over the drafting of the Lecompton Constitution. Witnesses describe seeing him pacing near the windows, his expression stern as he gazes out over the town, seemingly lost in thought. Some say he disappears the moment anyone approaches, while others claim he simply fades into the walls as if he were never there. Another commonly reported figure is a woman in a long black dress, often seen standing near the staircase. Some believe she was a servant who worked in the building during its early days. Perhaps the most unsettling experience reported by visitors involves the sound of quills scratching across parchment late at night, despite the fact that no one should be inside the hall after hours. Staff members who have stayed behind to lock up have described hearing faint murmurs coming from the main room, as if the voices of long-dead lawmakers are still debating the fate of Kansas. Some have even claimed to find pages of handwritten notes on the tables the next morning, filled with phrases that mirror the arguments made during the original Constitutional Convention. Paranormal investigators have conducted multiple studies at Constitution Hall, capturing electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, that contain fragmented voices speaking in archaic language. Thermal imaging has also revealed anomalous heat signatures that appear and vanish without explanation, further fueling speculation about the building's haunted reputation. Whether these disturbances stem from residual energy imprinted onto the environment, or the lingering presence of historical figures unwilling to leave their legacy behind, one thing is certain: those who step inside Constitution Hall often leave changed, carrying with them the weight of history's unresolved tensions. The cursed grounds of the Oak Hill Cemetery, perched atop a quiet hill just outside of Ottawa, Kansas. Oak Hill Cemetery is a place steeped in history, beauty, and an unsettling sense of dread that has earned it a reputation as one of the most haunted cemeteries in the Midwest. Established in the mid-19th century, the cemetery serves as the final resting place for many of the town's early settlers, veterans, and prominent figures who helped shape the region's development. However, beyond its serene appearance and meticulously maintained grounds lies a history of tragedy, unexplained deaths, and eerie encounters that have led many to believe that the spirits buried here refuse to rest in peace. One of the most persistent legends associated with Oak Hill Cemetery revolves around the grave of Mary Elizabeth Bell, a young woman who died under mysterious circumstances in the late 1800s. According to local lore, Mary was engaged to a wealthy businessman named Thomas Caldwell, but their wedding plans were abruptly cut short when she was found dead in her family's home, her body bearing unexplained bruises and signs of a struggle. Authorities ruled her death a suicide, citing depression as the cause, but many in the community suspected foul play. Some whispered that Thomas had grown jealous of another suitor, while others claimed that Mary had uncovered a secret too dangerous to keep. Whatever the truth, her grave has become a focal point for paranormal activity, with visitors reporting strange occurrences whenever they approach the site. Many who have visited Mary's grave claim to feel an overwhelming sense of sadness and despair, as if the emotions of her final moments are still imprinted onto the land. Some describe hearing faint sobs or the soft rustling of fabric, as though someone is walking beside them despite being completely alone. Others have reported their electronic devices malfunctioning near her headstone, cell phones losing signal, cameras failing to capture images, and compasses spinning wildly as if pulled by an unseen force. Perhaps the most chilling account comes from a group of teenagers who visited the cemetery one Halloween night, daring each other to spend a few minutes alone at Mary's grave. One of them, a boy named Jacob, insisted he saw Mary's name glowing faintly on her tombstone, despite the lack of moonlight. Moments later, he claimed to hear a voice whispering his name before vanishing into the darkness. Beyond Mary Bell's grave, other areas of Oak Hill Cemetery are said to harbor their own share of paranormal activity. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures drifting between the tombstones, only to disappear when approached. Some claim to hear the distant sound of church bells ringing in the dead of night, though no bell tower exists nearby. Others speak of an invisible presence that follows them through the cemetery, watching silently from just beyond the edge of perception. Paranormal investigators who have studied the site have recorded numerous electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, some of which appear to respond directly to questions asked aloud. One particularly eerie recording features a distorted voice stating, "We are still here, waiting for justice." Whether these experiences stem from psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or something far more sinister remains a matter of debate. What is undeniable, however, is that Oak Hill Cemetery continues to draw those who seek answers about the past, and those who dare to confront the mysteries that linger beneath its quiet surface. Investigating Kansas's most terrifying locations determined to uncover the truth behind Kansas's most haunted places, several paranormal investigation teams have ventured into the state's most notorious locations, armed with state-of-the-art equipment, and an unwavering resolve to document whatever might be lurking in the shadows. Among the most notable expeditions was that of the Heartland Paranormal Research Society, HPRS, a group of dedicated investigators who spent 3 consecutive nights at the Eldridge Hotel, setting up cameras, EMF detectors, infrared sensors, and audio recorders in key locations. Their findings, released in a detailed report, provided compelling evidence that reignited interest in the hotel's haunting reputation. One of the most chilling discoveries made by HPRS was captured on a thermal imaging camera positioned near the second-floor hallway. At approximately 2:37 a.m., the footage showed a humanoid-shaped anomaly emerging from an empty room, moving slowly toward the center of the corridor before abruptly vanishing. What made this sighting particularly unsettling was that no visible figure appeared on the standard video feed. The entity was only detectable through thermal imaging, suggesting it either lacked a physical form or existed in a state beyond normal perception. The investigators, visibly shaken, attempted to communicate using a digital voice recorder, asking, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Moments later, one of their handheld EMF meters spiked into the red zone, registering an unusually high reading. Simultaneously, the audio recorder picked up a distorted whisper stating, "I remember everything. I can't leave." In addition to visual and auditory anomalies, the team documented multiple instances of unexplained cold spots throughout the hotel. Using thermometers and thermal cameras, they recorded drastic temperature drops in specific areas, sometimes plummeting by as much as 20 degrees within seconds. These cold zones were concentrated near the stairwell and the former ballroom, where local legends speak of tragic events involving lost lovers and untimely deaths. Some speculate that these areas serve as portals for residual energy, carrying forward the emotions of those who once walked the halls. Another harrowing encounter was experienced by a solo investigator who set up camp near the remnants of Quindaro, the 19th-century abolitionist settlement now reduced to little more than crumbling foundations and overgrown paths. He described waking in the middle of the night to the sound of rhythmic tapping against the wooden frame of his tent. Upon stepping outside with a flashlight, he found no sign of the noise's origin, only a faint trail of footprints leading into the dense underbrush. Assuming it was an animal, he returned to his tent, only to hear a soft voice whispering his name from just beyond the fabric walls. Petrified, he remained frozen in place until dawn, when he hastily packed his gear and left the area, vowing never to return. Despite the skepticism surrounding paranormal investigations, the sheer volume of consistent reports and recorded anomalies makes it difficult to dismiss the idea that something unnatural lingers within Kansas's most haunted locations. Whether these experiences stem from residual energies, interdimensional phenomena, or something far more sinister remains uncertain. But for those who have witnessed the inexplicable firsthand, the question is no longer whether these places are haunted, it's what exactly is waiting in the darkness, watching and waiting. The psychological effects of visiting Kansas's most haunted locations extend far beyond the immediate sensations of fear and unease. For many who have explored these eerie places, the experience leaves lasting impressions that manifest in anxiety, sleep disturbances, and even paranoia long after they've left the premises. Psychologists and paranormal researchers alike have studied the impact of such environments on the human mind, seeking to understand why certain locations evoke such profound emotional responses. Some attribute these reactions to the power of suggestion. If a person enters a place expecting to encounter something supernatural, their brain becomes hyper-aware of every creak, whisper, or flicker of movement, interpreting them as signs of an unseen presence. Others propose that the location's eerie atmosphere triggers primal instincts, activating the fight-or-flight response as the subconscious perceives an unknown threat lurking in the shadows. One particularly unsettling case involved a group of college students who ventured into Quindaro ruins for a late-night challenge. They claimed to have heard a child's laughter echoing through the trees, only to turn and find no one nearby. Days later, one of the students began experiencing hallucinations. He reported seeing a small figure darting through his peripheral vision, vanishing the moment he turned to look. His mental health deteriorated rapidly, leading to hospitalization and months of therapy. While doctors attributed his condition to heightened stress and sensory deprivation, he remained convinced that something had followed him home, lingering just beyond the reach of sight. These psychological effects raise important questions about the nature of fear and the way the human mind processes the unknown. Whether the hauntings are purely psychological or influenced by something beyond scientific understanding, one thing remains certain: those who enter these haunted places often leave changed, carrying the weight of their experiences long after they've stepped back into the light. The cultural significance of Kansas's haunted places, folklore, media, and urban legend beyond their reputations as hotspots for paranormal activity, Kansas's most haunted locations have taken on a life of their own. Within local folklore, media coverage, and urban legend, over the years, these places have become symbols of fear and mystery, inspiring countless horror stories, documentaries, and even fictionalized accounts in literature and film. Their presence in pop culture has only fueled the intrigue surrounding them, drawing both skeptics and believers who hope to uncover the truth behind the myths. Local news outlets have covered these haunted sites extensively, often highlighting unsolved disappearances, strange occurrences, and eyewitness testimonies that add to their enigmatic allure. In the 1990s, a regional television station aired a documentary titled Shadows Across the Plains, which featured interviews with former residents, paranormal investigators, and even law enforcement officers who had responded to calls regarding suspicious activity near the Eldridge Hotel. The documentary included grainy footage allegedly showing shadowy figures moving between the hotel's corridors, as well as audio recordings of eerie whispers that sent chills down the spines of viewers. Though skeptics dismissed the content as poorly edited hoaxes, the documentary sparked renewed interest in the location, prompting a surge of nighttime visits from thrill-seekers eager to test the legends for themselves. Literature has also played a significant role in cementing these haunted places' status as cultural phenomena. Several horror novels have drawn inspiration from their eerie reputations, weaving fictional narratives around real-life events and reported hauntings. One particularly popular book, Echoes of the Underground, blends documented paranormal investigations with creative storytelling, portraying Quindaro ruins as a gateway to another realm where lost souls are trapped in an endless cycle of torment. The novel's success led to a limited-run podcast series that reenacted the events described in the book, blending real interview clips with dramatized retellings that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. The internet has further amplified the mystique of these haunted locations, with forums, YouTube videos, and social media pages dedicated to sharing personal experiences and investigating their haunted reputations. Urban explorers frequently upload footage of their nighttime excursions, capturing everything from strange lights flickering in the distance to unexplained sounds that defy logical explanation. Some of these videos have gone viral, attracting millions of views and sparking debates about whether these places truly harbor something supernatural, or if the collective belief in their haunting has created a self-perpetuating cycle of fear. Despite the commercialization of their legends, these haunted locations remain deeply unsettling places for those who visit. Whether it is the power of suggestion, the influence of local folklore, or something far more inexplicable, one thing is certain: Kansas's most haunted places continue to capture the imagination of those who dare to explore their shadowy depths. Facing the unknown, personal stories from those who survived the haunted places of Kansas for those who have experienced the horrors of Kansas's most haunted locations firsthand. The memories remain vivid, unsettling, and impossible to forget. Countless individuals have come forward over the years, recounting their encounters with the unknown, some hesitant to speak, fearing ridicule, while others share their stories in hopes of finding validation or understanding. These personal accounts paint a chilling picture of places where reality bends, time distorts, and the veil between the living and the dead feels perilously thin. One such account comes from Sarah Mitchell, a nurse who visited the Eldridge Hotel with a group of friends in the summer of 2018. She described how the evening started innocently enough, with laughter and casual conversation as they wandered through the grand lobby. However, as they ventured deeper into the hotel, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. "It felt like the air got heavier," she recalled. "We couldn't explain it, but we all stopped talking at the same time, like we were afraid to make a sound." As they reached the second-floor landing, Sarah noticed something odd. Her phone, which had been fully charged, suddenly died, along with her friend's flashlight. "That's when we saw it," she whispered. "A figure standing at the end of the hallway. It wasn't moving, just staring at us." The group stood frozen, paralyzed by fear, as they tried to determine whether the figure was real or merely a trick of the dim lighting. "It looked human, but wrong," Sarah explained. "Its arms were too long, and its head was tilted at an unnatural angle." Before anyone could react, the figure vanished into the shadows as quickly as it had appeared. Shaken, the group hurried back toward the main entrance, only to realize they had somehow ended up in a completely different part of the hotel, one they hadn't passed through on their way in. "We didn't know how we got there," she admitted. "It was like the hotel itself moved around us." Another harrowing experience was shared by Mark Alvarez, a security guard who worked the overnight shift patrolling the perimeter of Quindaro ruins in the early 2000s. He described his usual routine as uneventful, filled with the usual sounds of the night, until one particularly quiet evening when he heard a child laughing in the distance. "At first I thought maybe some kid snuck in after hours," he said. "But the laugh kept going, getting louder and louder, like it was right behind me." He turned around, expecting to see a teenager hiding behind a tree, but instead found himself staring into complete darkness. "There was no one there," he said, his voice trembling. And then the laughing stopped. These stories, while differing in details, share a common thread. Each individual entered Kansas's haunted locations expecting a simple outing or routine work assignment, only to leave shaken by something they could neither explain nor escape. Whether these experiences stem from psychological suggestion, environmental anomalies, or something far more sinister, the impact on those who live them remains undeniable. For those who have faced the unknown within Kansas's most haunted places, the memory lingers, a haunting reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. The enduring mystery of Kansas's most haunted places. As we bring this chilling journey to a close, one thing remains abundantly clear. Kansas's most haunted places are more than just relics of the past. They are living testaments to history's darkest chapters, infused with the lingering echoes of those who once called them home. From the spectral whispers that drift through the halls of the Eldridge Hotel to the ghostly figures that seem to wander the ruins of Quindaro, these locations continue to defy explanation, drawing in those who seek answers and leaving them with more questions than they arrived with. Whether you believe in the supernatural or prefer to attribute these experiences to psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or even urban myth, the sheer number of consistent reports from credible witnesses makes it difficult to dismiss the haunted reputations of these places outright. The personal accounts of those who have faced the unknown within their walls are too numerous and too similar to be ignored. Something lingers in the shadows of Kansas's most haunted locations, whether it be the restless spirits of the past, residual imprints of trauma, or something far beyond our understanding remains a mystery. If you've enjoyed this exploration of one of the most terrifying states in the U.S., be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another spine-chilling story. Whether you're a believer in the paranormal or simply fascinated by the power of fear and folklore, there's always more to uncover in the world of the unknown. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, sometimes the scariest places are the ones that exist just beyond the reach of the light.